Om Jnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshuruntam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Ramayam Padanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapatakalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Mostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shivano Shruti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravane Pracharine Nivishesha Shunyavadi Pashata Deshutarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Vanakalpata Rubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Kam karoti vachalam pangunam gaite girim yat kripatam vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramam. Okay, good morning everybody. So today we're from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 4, the appearance of Sri Narada, and today's verse is text 27. Okay. Nati prasida dreya. Sorry, my Sanskrit is not very.
Nati prasida dridaya.
Nati prasida dreya.
Nati prasida dridaya.
Sarasvatiyasta socho.
Saraswate chucho.
Vitarkyan vivitasta.
Vitarkayan vivitasta.
Idam kovacha dharmavit.
Idam chovacha dharmavit.
Okay. Anyone wants to say the verse?
Nati prasida dridaya.
Nate prashida didaya.
Sarasvatyatate sucho.
Sarasvate tata socho.
Vitarkayan vivitasta.
Vitarkyan vivitasta.
Idam chovacha dharmavit.
Idam suvacha dharmavit.
Nate prashada didaya.
Nate prashadhirya.
Sirishwat yastat suja.
Sarasvatyastate socho.
Vitarkayan vitasta.
Vitarkyan vivitasta.
Idam kovaka dharma vit.
Idam kovaka dharmavit. Okay, so now we'll read the translation. Not.
Not.
Ati pradischa.
Ati prasida.
Very much.
Very much satisfied.
Satisfied. Hridaye. At heart. Rasta of the river of Saraswati. Tate. On the bank of. Sucho. Being purified. Vitaya. Having considered. Vivasta. Situated in a lonely place. Idamcha. Also this. Vacha. Said. Dharmavit. One who knows what religion is. Translation. Thus, the sage, being dissatisfied at heart, at once began, because he knew the essence of religion, and he said within himself. the sage began to search out the cause of not being satisfied at heart. Perfection is never attained until one is satisfied at heart. The satisfaction of heart has to be searched out beyond matter. Okay. So, chapter, Srila Vyasadeva is being, we're talking about Srila Vyasadeva, and he gives Srimad Bhagavatam, and he's giving all of this Vedic literature, but then he feels dissatisfied at heart. And so you could say, so much compilation, right? He's the one compiling the Vedas. But why he feels so dissatisfied at heart? He feels that, tomorrow we'll get to it, but sometimes we feel that, okay, we've done so many, we've done this and this and this and this and this, and we see that people in life also, when people, for example, they retire, and then it says in Nectar of Instruction, it says that, or Nectar of Devotion, that people just retire and they play card games and board games and so on and so forth, just to fill time, right? And so they feel that they just don't feel like a purpose, like that they need to aim for something. And so this chapter, for so much of their life, similar to these people who have retired, they've done so many great things over so many years. And then they go to something so low, like playing card games instead of using their mind, or, these elderly people. So in a similar manner, Srila Vyasadeva compiled the Vedas. He compiled the Vedic literature, but he's feeling so dissatisfied. And why is that? Well, later we'll get there in the chapter. I'll just give a sneak peek. But basically he's feeling dissatisfied because he feels that he should have glorified Krishna more. He feels that, okay, now what? I've given Srimad Bhagavatam, I've given the Vedic literature, I've compiled the Vedic literature, right? But now what? So it also is a point where we could say, okay, we're reading, we're chanting, we're performing Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, all the 9 processes during service. But then what? Why are we chanting? Why are we hearing? Why are we reading, right? In this way, why? The big question is why? And so, what also was the point? Well, if we're not practicing, if we're not, after hearing, then immediately implementing into our lives, then how are we going to make advancement? And also, in this case of Srila Vyasadeva, it's also a humility that he feels this way, that he feels dissatisfied, because I've seen this in so many senior devotees, and just the more that I've had the association with these senior devotees, I realized that the main key to advancing in Krishna consciousness is really humility. And I've really seen that there's so many qualified devotees and but they don't act qualified in a way because of their humility, such a deep humility. So Srila Vyasadeva is, as it says, being dissatisfied at heart, and he began to reflect. Listening to our class, and the main thing is we have to have some introspection. On Friday actually, I was listening to this class by our dear Sachisuta Prabhu, one of our congregation members, and he was saying, if we're moving, but we're not having some introspection and reflecting, then we skip so many important figures in our devotional service. So, in this, Srila Vyasadeva is kind of, okay, so I've compiled it. He's compiled the Vedas. So now he's stopping and he's saying, hold on. But why do I feel this way? He's reflecting. And obviously he knows the answer why, but he's reflecting. So it also goes to show that our progress in devotional service is eternal. Day by day, minute by minute, second by second, if we just have a desire to move closer to Krishna and just one day become, always remember him, never forget him, and just become his servant, even the servant of the servant of the servant, then as long as that goal is there, then we have to, we have to just keep moving and moving and moving and moving. But simultaneously reflect. I was also a devotee a couple days ago, actually, one very, very senior Prabhupada disciple. And I asked one question actually. I said, Prabhu, out of all of these years that you've done devotionals, you've been practicing for so many years, but we also see so many people who are practicing for so many years, but they turn to material enjoyment. And I said, but they have such a Krishna consciousness, Krishna's really taking care of them nicely, and so many devotees love them, but they've turned to material motives. Why is that? And he said, well, it's because they also don't feel satisfied materially. And because they don't feel satisfied materially, spiritually, something is lacking inside. Something is lacking inside. So because materially they're lacking, spiritually, externally, they might look perfect. But internally, something's lacking. Still, they really, really endeavor to banish this material desire. It will still remain. It will still be there. So, in a similar manner, we have to reflect. We also have to realize that we're not perfect. And even one devotee I was telling yesterday, I was saying, I have one teacher in school, because I in my middle school, and she was telling me there's always going to be, she used to tell her daughters, there's always going to be somebody prettier than you, there's always going to be somebody more smarter than you, there's always going to be somebody more talented than you. And you have to realize. So in realizing that, we can make so much more advancement. And through making that advancement, we can realize, okay, here's where I am. What do I need to improve on overall? What do I need to improve on in my devotional service, in my material life, so on and so forth. So anyway, going back to the discussion of Srila Vyasadeva, he's asking, it says in the verse, it says, he knew the essence of religion. So he knows the essence of religion, but he still feels dissatisfied. Okay, first of all, we can say that he's halfway there. At least he knows the essence of religion. He knows what he's looking for. So, okay, he knows what he's looking for. Now, he go a little bit deeper and just inquire a little bit more. So, also, we see that in this world, so many atrocities are going on in the name of religion. So many people are trying to fight and say, I'm right, no, I'm right, no, I'm right. But in Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna say? Abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me, right? In the 18th chapter, telling Arjuna, first he tells Arjuna, you need to fight, right? But then he tells him, abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me. This is the Krishna conscious movement. ISKCON is the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, right? We are trying to be conscious of Krishna, conscious of God. That's our whole motive, is to be conscious of God. So what is the essence of religion? What is the essence of religion?
Getting back to God.
Yeah. It's to recognize God as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the essence of religion. So, in a similar manner, Srila Vyasadeva, he knows the essence of religion, but he still feels dissatisfied. That's what Jai Shri Radha Kunji Jai. So, that's why also, in Bhagavad Gita also, Srila Prabhupada, Sri Arjuna, Krishna Arjuna, and Krishna tells, first he tells him to fight, right? And he just, in the first and second. But then he goes in the 4th chapter, right? And he says, surrender unto Guru. Inquire submission from Guru. It's very important, So, we can have the essence of religion also. And going from Srila Vyasadev's point. But unless we inquire, and also not only from the Guru, not only internal, but externally also we have to inquire and we have to ask. So we can have realization by the mercy of the devotees, because really, when we're asking questions to devotees and Guru, it's purely the mercy of the devotee and the Guru. It's purely the mercy. They're giving their realization through Krishna consciousness. So, I want to read the verse one more time. Thus the sage, being dissatisfied at heart, at once began to reflect, because he knew the essence of religion. And he said within himself. This is also very, very key to know. He said within himself. So, sin in this material body, and we're under the 3 modes of material nature, sometimes our mind, it becomes very flustered and very distracted by so many things. And so, our mind, once we can control our mind and form our mind to help us in our devotional service, and for us to tell our mind what to do, it becomes very easy. It becomes very easy in this process to inquire, and it becomes very easy to have a clear understanding of and how to steer. Right? Because there's the driver of the boat, but unless the driver can see through the fog, because in the sea, in any big body of water, whenever there's fog, it's very hard to see. But the driver of the boat can have the GPS. But if the driver of the boat's not conscious of what's going on and not taking control of the boat, it's very drive the boat, right? It's very difficult to go at least to the destination where the driver of the boat wants to go. So similarly, we can have our consciousness, our GPS, right? It's there, but the fog is also there. It's also like the GPS. It's telling us where to go, what to do. But unless we know where we need to go and what we need to do, it's very difficult. So, Srila Vyasadeva, in this manner, he's inquiring from within of where to go, what to do. He feels dissatisfied. And so, we see that in our lives sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, we complete this. Right now I completed my education. Now I'm on my college education. So it's like, okay, I've completed high school, but then what happens after? So what do I do? What happens after I complete college, right? I have to get a job, so on and so forth. My spiritual duties remain, of course, but constantly we have to just constantly think, right? What's the next step also? Srila Vyasadeva is thinking. He's thinking, okay, I've compiled the Vedas, but something's missing. What's next? And it's his humility. He's thinking not only his humility, but also his great desire to offer something. First of all, offer more, and offer something greater. So in our spiritual life, always we have to say, what's the next step? Okay, I did this, so how can I make improvements, right? Or I'm doing this, but how can I do it more efficiently? Or what's, and then after that goal, what's my goal? And then after that goal, what's my goal? So we have to kind of, set set a standard of, okay, I'm here now, but what's the highest standard? And what's the higher standard? And that doesn't mean that we will ever come to a final goal of, okay, but day by day we're striving for perfection, and always something will come up. There's always areas where we can become more and more, more and more, what's the word? More and more satisfied and efficient in our skills and assets and whatever. So, we have so many great examples of our acharyas. Alright. In our line, each of our acharyas represents something very, 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 very special in our line. They each have characteristic, or some, of course many, because they're all pure devotees. But they each have something that really, really stands out about them. Our Prabhupada, he did so many things. He translated so many books into so many languages, actually. He established such a beautiful temple, 108 of them, and now one of the biggest religious organizations around the world. And recently, they anointed him as Vishwa Guru. So Srila Prabhupada did something that is really, really amazing. He gave us such a big gift. So it's up to us to use this gift and to realize, how can we furthermore serve Srila Prabhupada? How can we furthermore serve devotees in our Krishna conscious path? And so the reason I relate this and talk about this is because one devotee said, wow, Srila Prabhupada, you did so many things. You did this and this and this. And Srila Prabhupada said, no, I didn't do any of it. But what I did do is I gave you the truth. So Srila Prabhupada gave us the truth, right? He presented the truth. Even upstairs, 2 Catholic priests came to visit Srila Prabhupada when Srila Prabhupada was in Detroit, actually. And from the Archdiocese of Detroit. And Detroit, there's many Catholics in Detroit. And so Srila Prabhupada came, and these 2 clergymen came and met with Srila Prabhupada. And so Srila Prabhupada's talking with, there's one older senior man, clergy member, and there was one younger one. And so they're sitting in front of Srila Prabhupada's desk, and Srila Prabhupada and the older one are talking, the older man, the older priest. And the younger one is listening. He's listening, and he's listening, and he's listening. Right? And then, as the conversation went on and on and on, and Srila Prabhupada presented so many valid points with topics like reincarnation, with topics like, why we're vegetarian, with topics like why we are Krishna conscious, and so on and so forth, that this young Catholic priest, who's, by the way, trained, right? Because you go through so many trainings and so many lectures and so on and so forth, just to become a Catholic priest, right? You have to be ordained. And so, but when Srila Prabhupada was speaking, he was so just thinking inside, like, wow, I never thought of that. This is the truth. And so one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, near the end of the conversation, he said, Srila Prabhupada, this young priest was so interested. And you know what Srila Prabhupada said? Yes, because if you give them the truth, that's all they want is the truth. That's all they want. So, in this way also, Srila Vyasadeva, he understands what is the truth. But he's thinking, okay, I have the truth, but what next? Right? He has the essence of religion. Okay, that essence is there. But the essence is there. But he's inquiring for the fuller developed essence. Not just the essence, but he has the essence, but he's saying, what is the full picture? Okay, I have the essence, but what is the full picture? So he's inquiring. And it's also with himself, within himself. Because he realizes that Krishna is there through Paramatma. Krishna is there in Paramatma also. So he's realizing that Paramatma is there, is present. So because Paramatma is present, in a way he's asking Krishna these questions alone. We have kirtana. We do kirtana, right? Which is loud chanting of name. But we also every morning dedicate 2 hours while the deities are having their pastimes. We dedicate 2 hours to japa, which is an internal meditation with Krishna, which is an internal conversation with Krishna, right? And the only way we have service and we're able to do anything is because of our japa. This is internal meditation. This is inquiring from within. Chanting Krishna's name to get the attention of Krishna. And so, yeah, Srila Vyasadeva is kind of feeling that what's missing. So this is there. So similarly, in a manner that, going back to when we chant our japa with such a desire that, okay, Krishna, I want to serve you, I want to always remember you, I never forget you, and I just want to be dasa. So going back to Srila Prabhupada's purport, I just want to inquire. This satisfaction of heart has to go out beyond matter. Beyond matter. It's beyond material. So similarly, we have to realize that there's also a soul. First of all, I should have covered this earlier, please forgive me, but we also have to realize that inside, we're not this body. We're the soul. We're not this body, we're the soul. So searched out matter is beyond this material body. So similarly, in a similar manner, separate, this is a same wordage, but in a separate context. Beyond this material matter, beyond matters, beyond this material body. So we have to realize first that we're not this body. And so, I talked about this the other day. We're not this body. Okay. We're not this name. We're not this person, but we're the soul. So in this body, what we're trying to do is, because we have a temporary body, so we're trying to find a temporary solution to our problems. And we're trying to find, do it very, very quickly. So make the time of inquiry very short, very temporary. So, okay. But in the long term, spiritually, we really, really have to inquire, and we have to say, okay, I want a long-term solution because the soul is eternal, and because the soul is eternal, I want to know properly so that I can always be, always remember Krishna, never forget him. That's our main goal. And so, Srila Vyasadeva is thinking. Before I get to that, I want to go back to the purport. Perfection is never attained until one is satisfied at heart. He's not satisfied at heart. He's not satisfied at heart because we can know all of the Vedic knowledge of Srila Vyasadeva, but not be satisfied. And why is this? Because our motive of knowing literature, our motive of knowing all of these patterns is for bhakti. It's not for gyan. We're not reading for gyan. Gyan is knowledge. We're not reading for knowledge, but we're reading for bhakti. So we can be more and more and more and more attached to Krishna and see Krishna more in his form as Satchitananda Vigraha. Because that is our motive. Because Krishna has a form. And so we want to be able to relate even more and have a relationship with Krishna as his servant. And so, if we're not set from within, and we're not also realizing what our purpose of doing all of this is, then, and also, we also have to reach a sense of humility. Not even humility, but we also have to say, there's so much to learn, so many pastimes of Krishna, and so many more ways I can love Krishna. So we have to inquire for them. I'll give one more example and then I'll finish and open up for questions. But for example, Lord Brahma in Krishna book. Lord Brahma says the Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Nadiraldir Govinda Sarvakar Karanam. Every day we're saying Brahma Samhita, in the Govinda prayers. And he's describing Krishna. So many verses describing Krishna, right? But then, in the Krishna book, Krishna still cowherd boys, and the cows and the cowherd boys, right? And then Lord Brahma is saying, where did they go? Disappeared out of nowhere, right? And Lord Brahma is saying, I really don't know anything about Krishna. And you can almost laugh because you could just see Lord Brahma just like, oh my, just it's so funny because when we think we know something, we really don't. Unless it's revealed to us. Sometimes we don't realize what we have and how blessed we really are until somebody reveals it to us, like the spiritual master. So similarly, to end, Srila Vyasadeva is feeling dissatisfied at heart. And so, as I mentioned earlier in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions to Arjuna to inquire very from the spiritual master and ask many questions. So, in order to become satisfied, we have to inquire from the spiritual master. And we're very, very fortunate that His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, has given us such a beautiful process, a really firm process also. And we're also very, very fortunate that we have so many senior devotees in this community. Very little devotees like His Grace Nitya Krishna Prabhu, His Grace Shinandanandana Prabhu, His Grace Jagat Guru Prabhu, who we can inquire from, who have really, really studied the Vedic literature and also practiced over the years. So, anyway, to end, we can just meditate. What steps do I need to take? What do I need to do and what steps do I need to take to not be satisfied myself, but by satisfying Krishna, I become satisfied, because then Krishna is satisfied. So what do I need to do in devotional service? Or what do I need to do in my life, for say, to satisfy Krishna, and then I become satisfied? So I would like to end there. And Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai. Any questions, comments? Anything in the Facebook or the YouTube live? Any realizations, corrections?
So, like you were saying, every day and every time we need to look within ourselves to improve ourselves, correct? And so, like, how do we do it?
It's a very good question. So how do we improve ourselves every day? We have to always keep the mood Srinarapi Sunichana, Turarpi Suhishana, Kirtaniya Srahari. One should be on a blade of grass and one on a tree. And we have to see room for improvement. We have to be able to say, okay, I need to do this, this. But, yeah, this needs to be done. Okay, well, for example, yeah, today I can clean the temple floor because, it needs to be clean. And then you clean it and then you say, then the next week comes and you can say, okay, well last time, but today I want to make it even more clean. Let's say today I want to have, I want it to sparkle. I want to see my face on the floor, right? So okay, I want to see my face on the floor. But then okay, after I see my face on the floor, right? Then what? Then maybe I can clean the baseboards of the temple room. And I want to see my face in the baseboards. So we're having a goal, right? But then after that goal, we have to have a next step. So that's how we make improvement. We have to realize that progress is eternal. And we just have to try different things, Try different things. But the main thing is, always remember Krishna, never forget him, and stick to our process of Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, and all the other 6 processes. There's 9 total, but the other 6 processes in devotional service. Did that answer it somewhat? I can also give him in a material sense also. Should I? Or is that okay?
That is okay.
Oh, thank you so much. Any questions, Prabhu? Any corrections? Is there anything on YouTube, online? Anything? I think so. So please forgive me, it was quite short, but I don't like to speak very long because I like to make sure everyone's engaged and really, this was very, very last minute, so please forgive me that if I misspoke or if there's any corrections, please don't hesitate to comment below. And thank you all so much for joining. Your mercy that you've all bestowed upon me. Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Radha Kunj ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Vanshakar